Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for WWE Aftershock in 3, 2, 1. World Wrestling Entertainment Discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
Welcome to everyone to WWE Aftershock Week 32. I'm Owen the Birdman Finch, and I'm flying solo this week just because Chris was unavailable to do the show this week. So let's just get right into it. Pretty big week. It was the post week following SummerSlam, so a lot of stuff was kind of wrapped up / set up. So it was a really big week for WWE. So overall, I thought it was good in that aspect. I want to talk about the big news that happened with Triple H first this week, just because I don't exactly know when it happened. Apparently, over the weekend, WWE is kind of setting up for the merger and everything like that, and they pretty much made a big change to the board of directors, and that Triple H has been removed from the board of directors. He's no longer part of it anymore, but Vince McMahon is now. There's obviously other people that are involved, but those are the most notable names that are from it. I don't know what this means for the future of the company. I feel like I don't know what to say about it, because I think it's going to be one thing and then it ended up being completely something else. Like when Vince originally came back, we were thinking he was going to originally have full say, but it didn't quite happen that way. And then it did happen. So I'm not sure what this is going to mean. Apparently, they're going to start to kind of go with this merger in September, which isn't that long away. It's only August. It's at the time of recording this, it's August 13th. So that isn't that far away. You know, we always knew this point was going to happen where the merger would start to take shape when it was announced after WrestleMania that, WWE was bought by Endeavor. So this UFC WWE merger is well underway, so it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens and what takes shape. But I am a little worried, obviously, just because now Vince has a board of directors power, and there's been cases where you've seen the board of directors has more power than the person running the day-to-day stuff. I'll just keep saying it. As long as Triple H can run things creatively and it can stay the same that way, it's just, I'll be okay with it, I guess. I just, I think Vince just needs to retire permanently. But it's really tough to kind of say what it's going to look like, because Vince is still recuperating from his surgery, from spinal surgery, I believe it was. So it's really Vince Triple H may just take his position in the meantime. But yeah, I think this kind of sucks. Once Vince kind of gets back in the fold, it would be kind of interesting to see what happens. There was other news. There was some news related to Bray Wyatt that apparently what he's been out for was life-threatening. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to read too much into it because a lot of it talks about his return, and I'm trying to be surprised when it comes to his return. But yeah, that sucks if it was life-threatening, and it was a really bad time for him just because he was involved in one of the big storylines going on SmackDown with the Uncle Howdy stuff. And, he just came back to wrestling, so really shitty time for him. I kind of hope once he kind of gets back and gets back on his feet, that everything kind of could go well for him. And I hope they kind of use this illness as a chance to kind of revamp his character, just because I didn't hate the Uncle Howdy stuff, but I kind of get that it wasn't connecting, so I kind of hope though. But I just want the guy to be back and healthy and all that type of stuff. So there's that. There's other news, but not a lot came from it, so we're just going to get right into covering the weekly stuff. We're going to start with Raw, since that's the order that it aired in. Actually, no, we're going to start with main event. We're going to follow house show rules this time, since main event technically airs first. Everybody, pretty much except for NXT and Level Up's commentary team, was different. it was the commentary. Well, first main event took place on August 9th, 2023, but it was taped the same day as Raw. It was like taped before Raw. The commentary team was Byron Saxton and Wade Barrett. Obviously, they had to change the commentary team because Kevin Patrick doesn't have to travel to go to Raw anymore. There's really no point in having him, travel just to do main event. That's really a waste of time. And you could say, well, why is Byron Saxton there? Well, he's the backstage interviewer anyway, so it makes a lot more sense for, Byron to be there. Commentary team is okay. I don't think it's the greatest. I love Wade Barrett on commentary. I think that's great. I just don't like that they try to make Byron Saxton a play-by-play guy on commentary. He's just not a play-by-play guy, and they always try to force him in that spot when he doesn't need to be in that spot. But yeah, there were a couple of matches on main event. We had Indu Sher versus Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa. I do like the idea of making Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa a tag team. I think they can make a really good tag team if the WWE wanted to push them just because they're friends in real life and they just, have that connection. Obviously, we knew this was only going to go one way, that, Indu Sher were just going to dominate pretty much. And that's kind of what happens. Cruz and Tozawa do a couple quick, impactful tag team double team moves. But Indu Sher power is too much to overcome it. They eventually win with double choke slam type move on Tozawa for the win. So there's that. Again, I think I made my case known about how I feel about all these guys in their positioning. Then we had the main event of the show. It was Nikki Cross versus Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox is a heel again. I don't know why she was a babyface recently when she showed up on Raw for that tag team tournament match, but here she was a heel. I really think that it just doesn't make sense for it to go that way. This was actually a pretty good match, pretty solid. Tegan Nox Nikki Cross dominated early, then eventually Tegan Nox took over. But eventually, Tegan Nox won with the neckbreaker type move on Tegan Nox for the win. I'm okay with Nikki Cross winning. It makes sense to keep her momentum pretty hot. The last time they faced off with each other, Nikki Cross got the win, and I feel like it's 50-50 booking if you just give the win to Tegan Nox here. So, but yeah, the match I thought was really solid. I thought that was enjoyable. So if that was my, review of main event, if I have to give main event, because I'm doing star ratings for Raw, and I'll give main event star ratings, I'll give the tag match like a 2-star rating. I thought, it was fine. And then I would give the main event of the show like a 3 stars. I thought that was good stuff. Then going through Raw itself, it took place on August 7th, 2023. We had the commentary team of Wade Barrett and Michael Cole. Obviously, they do well enough. It really wasn't a new commentary team. This is kind of the first time that they tried it out on like a 3-hour TV show like type format. They still did well. They did commentate Money in the Bank together, and I believe they commentated Crown Jewel last year together. So they did very well doing those shows, and those were a little over 3 hours. They did really well here, though. Obviously, I think this is a much better team up to have them commentate Raw. Not that Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves were bad on commentary, but I think they actually fit better on the 3-hour, format than Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves did, I think. So I like the fact that they gave him this here. The show opens up with Cody Rhodes coming out to cut a promo. He comes out and he asks what he wants to talk about. He talks about what his weekend at SummerSlam was like, and he points out the image of when Brock Lesnar raised his hand. And this is the first time he's talked about this, and he mentions that his mom talked to him about it, and this is the first time that Brock Lesnar has really done this to anyone after he's lost a match. He's never done this before at all, and it was a big moment. And Cody really didn't make a big deal out of it. And he talked about how Brock Lesnar acknowledged you. And that was clearly a shot at Roman Reigns because they want to do that program again fairly soon. and he's wondering what's next for him. And then Seth Rollins comes out, and Seth Rollins mentioned that the last time he tried to do this, when he tried to find a new path for him, Cody Rhodes interrupted him, and he is here to interrupt him. And Cody talks about how he has the title and he wants to finish his story, so they have a little bit of a face-off. And then Judgment Day minus Finn Balor come out, and they talk about how they don't dictate what goes on with the World Heavyweight Championship picture, how Damian Priest is the one that dictates it, and he talks about how Seth Rollins' time as champion is winding down. And then Finn Balor attacks Seth from behind, and Judgment Day start beating down Rollins and Cody until Sami Zayn runs out and faces them and chases them off. And Cody challenges Judgment Day to a 6-man tag later in the show. And he mentions that Sami's his friend, but not Seth Rollins, but he still wants a team with him, type of thing. And then I'm just going to talk about everything that happens with the main event picture now. Then, Seth and Cody get into an argument backstage. Seth is upset that Cody made this match, and he's willing to, do it, obviously, because he's a fighting champion, but he's not happy that, Cody made this match without, insulting him, type of thing. And Cody and Seth are arguing, and Sami Zayn basically has to play Peacemaker, and basically this leads to Sami being able to do so, and they say they, basically together they can take out Judgment Day, type of thing. Then later in the night, we see Finn Balor talking to JD McDonough, which was awesome, and Damian Priest wants to know what Finn Balor was doing, kind of attacking Seth on his own, type of thing, without going through strategy. And Finn throws shade at Damian Priest for going against the plan that they had at SummerSlam last night. And Damian Priest takes a shot at him, saying that, even with my help, you couldn't beat Seth Rollins, so that 7-year journey's going to be ending soon. And then Rhea Ripley has to come up again and play Peacemaker, said that we're not going to do this again, type of thing. And they agree to work together. And JD McDonough chimes in and mentions that it's the briefcase that's the thing that's, causing them to have issues, because they didn't have any issues at all during, the briefcase type of thing. Before the briefcase was a factor. And Damian Priest is upset because he's not even a member of Judgment Day, and yet is the one that's, chiming in and giving advice, type of thing. And he kind of walks off, and that was kind of that. Later in the show, Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Bronson Reed in a match. It was really good stuff, really hard hitting. It was about almost the same level, but a little better than the match they had a few weeks ago, about a month or so ago now, I guess at this point, maybe 2 months, when they had the Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was about that level. I'll do my star ratings at the end of the show, just because I'm kind of going all over the place. But yeah, after that happens, he's getting interviewed about kind of where he stands, about how he said that he's going to start taking opportunities. And we see during the interview, JD McDonough ambushes Sami Zayn, and he completely wipes him out. We find out here that Sami Zayn has an injury. Apparently he's got some fluid in his elbow that is going to take a couple of weeks to recover from, which you can kind of tell if you see the state of what his elbow looked like. You could kind of tell he was injured. And IOL type of thing. And then this leads to Seth and Cody going to check on him. And originally what I thought they were going to do was they were just going to end up doing a handicap match. But what happens is Cody walks off, and Seth says that we're going to have to go into this alone, type of thing. And then Shinsuke Nakamura comes up and offers to be their partner, and Seth accepts. And I thought originally they were going to be pissed because Seth did this without, communicating this through Cody. So I thought they were going to do a thing here. And yeah, we have the match. Originally, a lot of people have trouble getting along with each other, but they'll eventually be able to put the differences aside to put on a very well entertaining match. It was really good stuff. I originally thought Nakamura was in the match to take the pin, and he would have had it out since he faced Bronson Reed earlier in the show. But what ends up happening is Sami Zayn runs out when Finn's about to use the briefcase. He attacks members of Judgment Day and things like that, and this allows Seth to hit a super kick, sending the briefcase into Finn Balor. This causes him to be beaten by Cody with a crossroads, and then the baby faces look like they're gonna stand taller than the show. However, right before the show goes off the air, Nakamura from out of nowhere hits a Kinshasa onto Seth Rollins and basically turns heel. His heel turn has been officially confirmed, and the baby faces are like really confused about it. They don't really understand what's going on. So that was the main event angle they did with Raw. I really liked it. I thought it was good stuff. I will say I think we need to start to change what the main the main event up a little bit, because I do think it is gonna get in fairly stale. That every main event pretty much has been some type of tag match with Judgment Day versus some baby faces and stuff like that. They're enjoyable matches, but it is getting fairly stale, I think. I kind of hope that changes that. But I liked the build-up they did where they teased the dissension in Judgment Day, and they teased that, Cody and Seth don't get along. And I think I like that they did that because, in real life, that they really kind of don't get along. So I kind of like that they played up to it, on TV. And I like what they did with Nakamura on this show. I think a lot of people are disappointed that he was the one that ended up turning and all that type of stuff. But to be honest, they built up to it for a bit, so it's not like it was random. And I actually kind of like the fact that they did this just because, we need some fresh blood for Seth Rollins to face for the World Heavyweight title. And Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins is a fresh matchup. I don't think they faced off with each other since Survivor Series 2018. So it's been a while since they've had a match with each other, and I think this is some nice fresh blood. This is someone that Seth Rollins can face at Payback. And, I get some nice fresh blood that Seth Rollins could face. It's a fairly new opponent for him and a new feud that he's really never done before. So I'm looking forward to that. What I imagine what's probably going to happen with Cody and the Judgment Day and stuff is I think they're probably going to go into a program with, Cody and Finn. I would like them to do a 4-way with all these guys just because that way, everybody at least has something to do type of thing. But since we're not going to have your main event on SmackDown really be defended all that much, I think it probably makes sense to split up the Raw main events with Finn versus Cody and Seth versus Nakamura. I feel like too, I kind of wish they would just do the 4-way. That way, at least the world title stands more of a chance of main eventing. Because something tells me that if it's Cody versus Finn and Seth versus Shinsuke, that I feel like Cody versus Finn would main event. And it wouldn't be a bad thing, but I feel like it's time for the world title to main event a pay-per-view. And I think Payback's the perfect time because most likely Roman's not going to wrestle a Payback. And with what happens on SmackDown, you're not going to see much from the Usos. So I think the Bloodline's not going to be focused that much on this pay-per-view for the first time in I don't even know how long. So I think it's time to kind of, switch the directions a little bit and have, the world title main event. Because I don't know what else can main event. The only other match I could see main event is maybe the Intercontinental title match, just because it's like roughly before Walter breaks the record. And I could see that match maybe main eventing to kind of make people have that type of disbelief, but we have to wait and see. Because I believe he breaks the record like the next day or whatever. So yeah, overall I thought the main event angle was a thumbs up. Kind of going through another big thing that happened on the show was obviously what they did with LA Knight and The Miz. They just really went off on each other. They cut these really good fire promos on each other. It was really awesome stuff. The Miz went to do a photo shoot, but LA Knight was doing one, and The Miz went off, and he went off on LA Knight. He says kind of a lot of the stuff that he said before, but it was, it's still really good stuff where he mentions, that he got passed up to do a photo shoot by someone that, hasn't been around in the company all that long. It mentions, that when he was in WWE, he paid his dues. He shook everybody's hand, and he did everything. This brings out LA Knight, and yeah, they have a really nice promo battle where The Miz talks about all this stuff. He talks about how LA Knight's just going to be a flash in the pan. Once his popularity wanes, everyone will kind of focus on something new while The Miz will stick around. The Miz mentions all the same stuff. LA Knight, introduce himself, but then he kind of cuts this really passionate promo talking about how The Miz is safe, which is why they keep going to him. He's the safe option, and LA Knight's not the safe option. Just because, like, if LA Knight has a problem with someone, he's not just going to, hey, tuck his tail between his legs like The Miz did when he was coming up. And he's not going to do all the traditional things. He's going to do things his way. And he talks about how he's been in this business for years, and this was an opportunity for him to, finally break out, to show that he's more than just a catchphrase and a guy that comes out there and gets ovations. He's going to prove that he's going to stick around. And he talks about how this is like the best opportunity that he has because of his age and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it was just excellent stuff. The Miz and LA Knight brawl. And LA Knight lays him out with the blood force trauma. And LA Knight stands tall and he shakes his hand while he's out. And then he cuts a really good promo on Raw Talk. I don't remember exactly what he said. I just remember it was really good stuff. And I am going to give a pass this week that they didn't stick to the brand split. I know I typically have a big thing where they don't stick to the brand split. I will give a pass just because we're going to get an LA Knight Miz feud out of it. And I feel like, LA Knight is an exception to the rule. I know I didn't give an exception to one before because he has shown up on Raw, but I will give a little bit of a pass just because of how great this promo segment was. I am going to give a pass on it. But yeah, it was excellent stuff, though. I'm glad they're finally pushing LA Knight. And not only that, they finally have him as a babyface. Because even though I've been talking about before how he has been a babyface, I'm glad that they're finally going with it. That he's going to full-on be a babyface now. Like, he's internally a babyface. I feel like that was kind of going against the grain. And I think The Miz is the perfect person for LA Knight to feud with. Just because, LA Knight, The Miz is always kind of someone that's enough up in the main event position where I think he'll be the test option to see if LA Knight really can hang in the main event, just because of how valued The Miz is by the WWE and everything like that. So I liked this. Another big thing that took place on Raw was what they did with the Intercontinental title picture. They earlier in the day, it showed that Adam Pearce, brought in Ricochet. Ricochet was trying to get a rematch with Logan Paul, but Adam Pearce said that he couldn't give him one. But Ciampa, Chad Gable, and Matt Riddle walked in, and Adam Pearce said that they've had some bad luck lately, but he's willing to give him an opportunity to break out of that show. And, pretty much, he says that he's going to put them in a 4-way match tonight, and the winner of that match will face Walter for the Intercontinental Championship. I hope it's Payback, just because I think it will be Payback, because he'll be, like, fairly close then to breaking the record. So it would have some nice drama behind it. And they have that 4-way match, and this 4-way match was really excellent. I think what the thing that I liked about this 4-way the most is, the thing I liked about this 4-way the most was everyone was a babyface, and it was really unpredictable who was going to win. And any one of these guys could have won it because they could have been future opponents. Maybe except Riddle. But, because he had a history with Walter, you didn't think he'd win it. You thought he could have had a chance. But, yeah, I'm not going to just go watch the 4-way just because it was truly excellent. It really, did a good job of showcasing all that talent. The first hour of Raw was commercial free, sort of. They did do a picture-in-picture one during the Nakamura-Bronson Reed match, I believe. So it wasn't exactly true. Yeah, I thought this was a great idea to have this four-way match be in there. That way we could have seen the whole match and everything like that. So, um, yeah, it was just an awesome four-way. Chad Gable got the win too with the Chaos Theory on Ciampa. I like the way that it happened too, where he kicked out maybe a little too late, and like the person didn't get there breaking it up in time, breaking up the pinfall in time. So I loved this four-way match here, and I'm looking forward to seeing Chad Gable face Walter for the belts. I feel like too they put on a really good match, but I feel like now that they're gonna have a proper pay-per-view, well, PLE match, I think they're gonna put on a spectacular match. Then later in the show, Marcel Barthel confronts Tiffany Stratton and not Tiffany Stratton. Like I thought that because they're dating in real life. Maxine Dupree, and he basically tries to recruit her to join Imperium, but she doesn't accept. He insults her. She slaps him in the face, and when he was about to turn around, Otis is standing there, and it leads to a match later. We have that match, and Marcel Barthel won via interference from Walter. Walter just came and hit a big boot on him, which allowed Marcel Barthel to hit an enziguri on him. I liked that match. It wasn't necessarily a long match, but I thought the match stood out because we saw like a lot of work rate in this match, and this match I thought really stood out and broke the mold. I really like how they're utilizing Imperium at the moment, where they're not making Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel just typical henchmen at the moment to Walter. They're actually starting to get some wins under their belt and all that type of stuff. And Imperium start to beat down Otis, and Chad Gable runs out, and this causes Imperium to take off. And yeah, the way they utilize Chad Gable and Otis and Alpha Academy was just really good on this show. They were in Chad Gable's hometown, and when he won his four-way match, he celebrated with his son. So I like the fact that he won. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the IC title going forward. I like the fact that this is going to be Walter's next feud. No sign of Drew McIntyre on this show. I don't know what the deal is on him, if he's still like shooting his movie or whatever, but we have to wait and see on that. A big thing they did during the show was furthering the storyline between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley. Raquel Rodriguez still couldn't get cleared to face Rhea Ripley, and she was upset about it. So before the main event, she attacked Rhea Ripley, and it led to a big brawl. Indy Hardwell and Candice LeRae were breaking it up, and Rhea Ripley just beat them up too. So yeah, I liked that. I thought that was good stuff. And then, Becky Lynch came out to do a promo. She talked about facing Trish next week, and said that she's going to finally get what's coming to her. And then Zoe Stark comes out to talk shit to her. And then Shayna Baszler runs out. Becky pokes shade at Shayna, saying that she looks like she's in rough shape. And Shayna agrees. And then it leads to a match getting announced because Zoe Stark mentioned that she's like a badass and all that type of stuff, which leads Shayna to coming out and a match gets made. And then during this, Becky Lynch is drinking lemonade, which is a big reference to SummerSlam weekend because she was left off the pay-per-view. And, she made lemonade during it. And Shayna wins. I believe she won with the Kirifuda clutch. She just made Zoe Stark pass out, not even tap out. And then Becky Lynch did Triple H's taunt where he spits the water out, except instead of water it was lemonade. And then that was it. And then later on in the night, Becky Lynch gets interviewed and talks some more about a rematch with Stratus. And Shayna Baszler comes up and says that she doesn't want any help. She wants to do this all on her own, and it looks like they want to pick up that program again, which I'm completely fine with. So overall, I thought that was good stuff between what they did with Becky on this show type of thing. I really hope they just have I'll do my predictions, but I really hope they just have Becky beat Trish next week, and they kind of just move on from that storyline, just as it hasn't been very good lately. At all late actually. So I hope they kind of do that. What else took place on, this show? the we had the state of the women's tag team division. I would just talk about that because I'll actually end well with the big return that happens on this show. Um, yeah, we find out that Sonya Deville is injured. She tore her ACL during the tag match where her and Chelsea Green team up to face us. No, it was Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. Um, and we don't know what the actual state of the women's tag titles are, but they just mentioned that it happened. They didn't necessarily say that it was vacated or anything like that, but on After the Bell this week, I'll just talk about it now. Chelsea Green did a challenge, like a hashtag Chelsea's Got Talent, where she's going to find a new partner. I hope they stick to this. I actually hope they kind of follow through with this just because I think it would be awesome. And I think it'd be... I really don't think they can vacate these titles again. I feel like we've had a lot of new champions recently with in the span of a month. And I really think that would be a better way to go about it type of thing. To take basically the Chris Jericho approach where, you know, he finds out he can get like a new partner type of thing. And I really hope they kind of do this with Chelsea. A lot of people responded to it. Some were really funny, like R-Truth responded to it, Matt Cardona, Mick Foley, and Carmen Persevic, I think her name is. It's one of the new NXT recruits. And yeah, I really hope they kind of do something with this. I'm not sure who she could get to be a new partner. Maybe it could be someone from NXT. I mean, in a perfect world, I would have it be Deonna Purrazzo, but I don't think Deonna Purrazzo is going to leave Impact, especially too because she just got like a bachelor's degree IRL and she's still in the OnlyFans thing. I don't see her wanting to give all that stuff up to join WWE. But I would personally like it just because, you know, I always enjoyed Deonna and Chelsea as a team. And I thought they made a really good tag team together. But, yeah, it's also questionable too. Like, because then she wouldn't see her husband as much too either. So we'll see on that. But yeah, these women's tag titles are cursed. It does seem like anytime someone wins these titles, somebody gets injured or they're just not used very well. So yeah, I feel like I said it's time to scrap the belts. It might actually be the time to do that, just because no one with these titles has really been booked all that well, and they haven't done a lot with these titles. And anytime it looks like there's going to be a change, there's either an injury or you'll have a case like Wanda who decides to leave the company right when she wins the titles and everything like that. So I think it's time to, nix the tag titles type of thing. It would suck for the woman just because they would have one less thing to fight for, but I say the thing to kind of counteract that is maybe bring in a mid-card belt and just book that well. I just think the women's tag titles just aren't working. Every time looks like they're going to gain some momentum. And again, they're doing the same thing that they did where they're supposed to be on all three brands, but they have not been in NXT since they got unified with the NXT women's tag team titles. So I think it's time to get rid of the women's tag team titles. Then the biggest thing that happened, not the biggest thing that happened on the show, but the last big thing that happened on Raw was the Viking Raiders issued an open challenge, and it got accepted by the New Day. Just Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So it looks like Big E, where he said that he can't wrestle anymore, it looks like that's true. Probably a lot of people are thinking that it was a work, like he was just working us and he was going to come back, but it doesn't look like Big E's going to be back. Yeah, I wish he could cut. I wish they could find a role for Big E on the main roster. Whether that's like, general manager or commentator or something, just because like I think Big E should have a role. Because it's not like he has a family or anything. So basically his role has been spokesperson lately. In terms of maybe not even spokesperson, but anytime there's a big appearance like a TV show like Family Feud or Wheel of Fortune, he's been doing that stuff. But I think it's time to get Big E back in the mix, whether that's just be strictly a manager for the New Day. Maybe the only reason I didn't say manager is then he would then if he has to take a bump, he wouldn't be able to do it. But we'll see. And yeah, New Day obviously win, but they put on a good fight. Afterwards, they get interviewed and they talk about how they've been gone for a while and they're happy to be back in the mix. And they say that, you know, they're gonna bring positivity back just because of how negative everything is. So I enjoyed this. I don't know who the New Day could feud with at the moment, but I enjoyed this. I would like them to get into the mix where they face Imperium because they've been gone a while actually as like a team. They haven't teamed since March, and a lot of teams have come into the mix since then. So yeah, I'm a fan. I was a fan of the New Day's return. And that's pretty much everything that takes place with Raw. There is one segment that's here where it says Jackie Redmond's backstage. I don't remember exactly what that segment is, but everything else was pretty much the standard stuff that took place. Ugh. So, yeah, good. I thought Raw was an excellent show. I thought it was a really good follow up to SummerSlam, and it got me excited. And I think it did everything that you would want from a post PLE show where they started some new storylines and but they kind of left you wanting more. Like we don't really know still what's next for Cody Rhodes after Brock Lesnar and all that type of stuff. So overall, I would give Raw like I would honestly give Raw an A-. I thought the wrestling was very good on this show, and I thought the character development was very good. Going through the star ratings, the Intercontinental triple threat match or the Fatal 4 number one contenders match was 4.5 stars. I thought that was great. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bronson Reed was 3.25 stars. I thought that was pretty good. Zoe Stark versus Shayna Baszler was 3 stars. I thought that was good stuff. And Otis versus Marcel Bartel was decent. I'll give that 2.75 stars. The Viking Raiders versus the New Day, I thought was pretty good. I'll give that 3.25 because it was cool to see the New Day come back. And then the main event, I thought was great. I'll give that like 4 stars. So yeah, overall, just a great show all around. And I liked how everything was furthered on Raw and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's Raw and main events out of the way. Let's do NXT. I'm just gonna do Level Up and NXT all at once. I'm going to have to go back, though, and cover last week's Level Up because I went to watch Level Up. I couldn't watch it live because I watched Dynamite from last week right after SmackDown, thinking that I was going to have to do Spoke, which didn't, obviously, as you could tell from the channel, didn't end up happening because Noah couldn't do it the day I was available, and then I wasn't available the day that it could have happened, so it just didn't work out that way. Yeah, I'll just talk about it real quick. I'm not going to go into detail because I've seen a lot of wrestling and stuff since then and have been doing a lot of things that I don't remember this episode as well. I was also watching it, after I watched SummerSlam and was tired, so that probably affected my mood and all that type of stuff. But the commentary team was Byron Saxon and Blake Howard. They commentated both episodes. Again, NXT and Level Up are the only commentary team that went unchanged this week, which I wish NXT would have changed so that way Booker T could have gone away from behind the booth, but that didn't happen. It opened with Malik Blade and Adria Sanofe versus Tyson DuPont and Tyrick Igui. I don't know how to say. I forget how to say that name. That was all right. From what I remember of it, I remember the Tyson DuPont and Tyrick looked pretty good in the match, but this is a match you would have probably seen on like an NXT house show. Malik Blade and Anofe won. They, kind of got, once the hot tag happened, they kind of came in and did all this stuff, and that was the end of the match pretty much. It was just, it was solid stuff. And then, Trey Bearhill got interviewed. He pretty much is like a typical Indian type of thing where he acts very Indianish and all that type of stuff. he faced Miles Bourne. This match was solid. I thought Troy Bearhill looked pretty good for his first outing. I thought Miles Bourne was a perfect person for him to face because a lot of the stuff he did was like a power move. I think they were both baby faces. It didn't seem like Trey Bearhill was really a heel in this match, which was fine. But yeah, eventually Miles Bourne, he got the win. I don't remember exactly how he got the win because I don't think it was like with his finisher. It's tough to really say because it's tough to know what Miles Bourne's finisher is. But yeah, Miles Bourne won. That made sense. He's been kind of around longer and stuff, and this was Trey Bearhill's first match. He didn't really need to necessarily win, so I do think someday they need to do something. I know they have before, but they need to have like an NXT, like one of these performance center people, get a win just to make it like a little less predictable. Because that was one thing that I remember that AEW Doc / Elevation, they would do it on occasions, but it wasn't enough where like it would happen. But I think one of these performance center recruits should get a victory on like an NXT talent. But it shouldn't. It didn't need to be here, but I think it needs to be a point where like it's a big enough tag team where it's a big enough surprise. Like obviously, it didn't need to be with Miles Bourne just because he's still fairly new too. So, yeah. Then the main event was Gigi Dolan versus Tatum Paxley. That was fairly good stuff. I thought they put on a pretty entertaining match. Gigi Dolan won the match. I forget how, but she won. And yeah, that was just, I thought, pretty good stuff. There was no doubt that Gigi Dolan was winning. It was pretty obvious, just because she's the one they're doing stuff with on TV every week, and she's in a storyline right now while Tatum Paxley is just being jobbed out left and right. So that was Level Up. I thought Level Up was okay. I'll give that like a C. It was all right. But yeah, it was just fine. I'll cover Level Up for this week since I'll do house show rules. Since it technically airs first. The same people on commentary. It opened with Dante Chin versus Damon Kemp. It showed during the match Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey watching it. And this match ended up being pretty good stuff. Eventually, Damon Kemp won with a one-handed spine buster. And yeah, I liked this. I'm like that Damon Kemp finally got a win, and I'm happy. Well, I'll talk about it when I reviewed NXT this week, that it looks like they're going to finally do stuff with him. So I'm happy about that. And then Fallon Henley faced Izzy Dam. That was good stuff. I do like Izzy Dam. It does seem like she is good in the ring. I think she needs to get a different character just because it seems like she has the same character that Tiffany Stratton has, except, it's just done on a lower level at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what she does once she moves to NXT TV. Obviously, she's kind of doing the Level Up house show loop at the moment to kind of, get experience. So, Fallon Henley won. She won with a Boston Knee Party. Or just a Shining Wizard. That was definitely not in doubt. It does suck. It does seem like Fallon Henley, Briggs and Jensen, very lost in the shuffle. It doesn't seem like they have anything going on, and I think that sucks. I think they need to, get a storyline behind them, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So yeah, it does seem like they might set one up, but we'll see. Then we had Tavion Heights versus Joe Coffey. Tavion Heights did a good interview earlier just to hype himself up, and he looked pretty good in this match. Joe Coffey got the win, though, with the Best for the Bells. That was no doubt that Joe Coffey was going to win this match. I think Joe Coffey was the perfect person for Tavion Heights to face because he's got that amateur background, and I thought the amateur background and Joe Coffey's brawling style meshed really well with each other, so that was good stuff. I actually enjoyed Level Up. I thought it was good stuff. I thought we had some good matches on it, and everybody that was on the show, I thought for the most part was, fairly good. So I'll give it a Level Up B-. So there you go. And I don't remember if I gave a rating for main event. I think I'll give that like a C. It wasn't quite average because that Nikki Cross, Tegan Knox match really saved it. Then we have NXT. The commentary team was Booker T and Vic Joseph. You know how I feel about them on commentary at this point. The biggest thing that happened in NXT was obviously the North American title match they did on this show, where it was hyped up that Rey Mysterio was going to be there. It showed Rey Mysterio reviving, where he was giving a pep talk to Dragon Lee. It was really good stuff, and they did backstage segments with Rey Mysterio throughout this show. He did like a thing where he had like a motivational speech for Roxanne Perez, talked about how how he likes what she's been doing, and then he did one with Thea Hale. I thought the Thea Hale one was really good because he made comparisons to himself, which he talked about she's an underdog and all that type of stuff. So, and Thea Hale was asking Ray, why, if he still loves his son and all that type of stuff, and he said that he doesn't like the person that he is, and who he's hated around with at the moment, but he says that he's always gonna love his son and wants him to do well. So, I liked it. The thing that sucks is it still looks like they're gonna have Thea Hale leave Chase U, and it looks like she's gonna turn heel out of it, which I don't like. But it is what it is, I guess. Yeah. Then and then later we see Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley backstage. It's tough to do these shows by yourself, by the way, when you don't have anyone to bounce off of, because then you're trying to remember stuff and things like that. And I'm also not going through this in order, so I'm trying to kind of have this be a little authentic. And they talk about how how Dominic's putting name value to the Mysterio family because everyone's going to be tuning in to watch him, and that's why Ray's there. And Lyra Valkyria comes up and tells Rhea Ripley that she did exactly what she wanted to. What's her name? She was in Toxic Attraction at one point, so it's not Gigi Dolan. I don't remember her name, but it was the other person from Toxic Attraction. Gigi Dolan. No. I had it. I thought I had it. I was about to say it, too. I had it in my head, and then I said Gigi Dolan, and I forgot it. But it was JC Jane. That's who her name is. But she realizes that Rhea Ripley was just manipulating her, and she wants Rhea Ripley to practice what she preaches by letting Dominic basically sink or swim tonight. So we had the North American title match. The match was a banger. It was absolutely awesome stuff. The good thing about Dom being in NXT at the moment is he's facing guys like that are like indie darlings at the moment, which he was before, but he's facing guys that do all the big, high, quick, fast moves at the moment, and I think that's helping him out a lot. And it's getting him a lot of heat. Eventually, behind the ref's back, Rhea hits Dragon Lee off the head with the women's world title and allows Dom to win. And it leads to a big argument at the end. Lyra Valkyria runs out and they have a big argument, and it leads to Dragon Lee and Lyra Valkyria laying out Dom and Rhea Ripley. And that was the end of the show. I imagine they're going to do a mixed tag match or a 6-person tag, and they'll bring Damian Priest or Finn Balor down and have, one of them, face, so that way Ray can be in the match. So I'm interested in this. I really liked what they did with the North American title picture. I love Dom as champion at the moment. I think he's doing really well as North American champion. So I liked this. I did do style ratings, by the way, so I'll go over those at the end of the NXT review. Throughout the night, they did this terrible storyline where Schism laid out all the tag teams backstage, pretty much. They just beat the crap out of them. It was really bad. I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but I feel like it was kind of at the cost of their tag division. It kind of made their tag team division look weak. So there's that. It did lead to them confronting, and then obviously they're trying to find the Creed brothers, so they're trying to get some answers out of everybody. It did lead to um, them making their way to the family and who are having a photo shoot, and eventually Grizzled Young Veterans want to kind of challenge for the NXT Tag Team titles, but Joe Gacy tells them not to lose focus, and then later in the night, Kiana James faces Ivy Nile, and I didn't like that match too much. It didn't make Ivy Nile look good at all, and Kiana James wins due to schism interference, and then they're about to attack Ivy Nile, and then the family went out to make the save, and this is going to set up to an NXT tag title match. I'll say this week, since this is probably going to come out Monday when you're seeing this. So I obviously don't like the fact that they're putting back the Creed brothers. I've made my points really well known on that, so I'm not going to go through that, but yeah, I don't mind them doing Grizzled Young Veterans versus the family. I think that would be a good match. I think, the Grizzled Young Veterans can bring out the best out of the family, because they're not the best in the ring, but I think the Grizzled Young Veterans will be able to bring the best out of them. Yeah, it was just, it was kind of what it was. They did something funny on NXT, and they had Tyler Bate face Noam Dar for the NXT UK Heritage Cup, and Tyler Bate, ended up winning. Obviously, you know how I feel about the Heritage Cup rules. I will say this was probably one of the better Heritage Cup rules matches that I've seen. I think because they're both from the UK, they know kind of how to do, and they both wrestled those matches enough where they were able to structure it better. But I still don't love the UK rules, or not the UK rules, but the Heritage Cup rules. I think they need to change that. I get it's tradition, but I feel like it doesn't translate very well sometimes. I feel like though they were able to make it work. Tyler Bate, he didn't win 2-zip, which I thought would have been funny, but he won the first fall with the Tyler driver, and then Noam Dar made him tap out to the knee bar, and I think Tyler Bate got like a roll up on Noam Dar, which allowed him to win the so-called Heritage Cup, the counterfeit Heritage Cup. And later in the night, Noam Dar tried to get the cup back, and Nathan Frazier came up, and they basically reference the Spider-Man meme. They don't really reference it; they full-on mention it. And Nathan Frazier makes a deal with Noam Dar that Tyler Bate will give him back his cup if he admits that it's a counterfeit cup, and it's nothing compared to the real cup. But at first he doesn't want to, but eventually he doesn't full-on admit it. But he gets close enough where Nathan Frazier admits it, and the only reason he's doing this too is because Nathan Frazier is going to give him a Heritage Cup match at a certain NXT show. That once I get to that point, I'll talk about what that show is going to be. And Nathan Frazier looks at Tyler Bate and says that he realizes he owes him one, and Tyler Bate says yeah, and that was basically it right there. But I love the fact they did this. I said this as a joke last week that I really hope they have Noam Dar lose, and they just keep, obviously the joke was that, they keep just putting back the cup and all that type of stuff. But I actually like the fact that he lost type of thing. It made for some wrestling television, and, you did set up a couple future matches. Obviously, you set up Nathan Frazier versus Noam Dar, but you've now also set up Tyler Bate versus Nathan Frazier for the Heritage Cup in the future, and I think that match would be a banner, so I like what they did here. It was just funny stuff. They did some stuff with Braun Breaker and Von Wagner. To hype up the match, Von Wagner told Mr. Stone that he was going to put Braun Breaker through a table, and Braun Breaker didn't believe him. They had a match, which was pretty good stuff. Good big man match. Braun Breaker did win. He won with the spear. He won clean. I get Braun Breaker needed to win because he's had a lot of big losses lately. He lost his NXT title. He lost the World Heavyweight title match with Seth Rollins. He lost his rematch for the title. And then he lost to Ilya Dragunov. So I get that he kind of needed to get a win to reestablish himself again, since it doesn't look like he's going to the main roster anytime soon. And I wish he won by cheating, though. I don't think he should have cleanly beat Von Wagner. I think he should have hit a low blow, then a spear. That way, at least, Von Wagner was protected a little bit. And then at the end, Von Wagner laid him out and he put him through a table, and that was that was it. So at least Von Wagner gets his heat back. I like the fact that he got his heat back, and it does look like they are going to continue this. I think they're going to do a tables match, and Von Wagner probably will win that match, but it didn't hurt. I don't think it's going to hurt Von Wagner too much because the fans they were still relatively behind him and stuff. So I think this will be fine. Then they did some stuff with Dana Brooke and Kalani Jordan. Kalani Jordan faced Blair Davenport. It was a good match. They gave, Kalani Jordan enough offense in there to, where she looked like a strong contender for Blair Davenport, but it was just Blair Davenport's experience that, allowed her to win. Afterwards, Dana Brooke, just for no reason, decides to beat up Blair Davenport with a belt, which was really weird because there was no reason for her to do this. I know she's turning heel, but, if she's meant to still kind of be a babyface, it's not like Blair Davenport beat her up or anything like that. And then she got upset with Kalani Jordan that she didn't show, that ruthless aggression that she wanted Kalani Jordan to show. And Kalani Jordan even mentioned that it's only like a third match type of thing. So, it does set up a match for tomorrow night between Dana Brooke and Blair Davenport. So there you go. They did a really good job. They set up Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams. They did this really good promo segment back and forth where Ilya Dragunov talked about how every time it looks like he's going to be on the precipice of something great in NXT, something gets in his way, and this time it was Trick Williams. Trick Williams pointed out that, he mentioned it was collateral damage, and technically he didn't even hit him with the belt, he just went into it. So a match gets set up, and it's going to happen at Heat Wave. They're doing Heat Wave this year. They did it last year, I think was the first time they did it. I know they did do it last year, but I don't think they've done, I think last year was the first one. So because of that, I'm going to make the announcement now. A quick plug. Since NXT's doing Heat Wave, we had this plan anyways. We'll go into do a retro on Heat Wave 1998, considering the fact that we've had that planned for a while, and now is the perfect chance to do it. So, that's awesome. And then, the match gets made official. I'm looking forward to that match. I think that it does seem like it's going to be the main event. It might be the title match, but I think that would main event this match. I don't know what they're going to do with Dragunov, so I like this. And later on in the night, Trick Williams gets confronted by Drew Gulak and his crew, and a match gets set up. I think it's going to be Gulak versus Trick Williams tomorrow night. So that was good stuff. Then Hanky Tanky were one of the tag teams that got laid out by Schism, and they were supposed to face Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey in a match, but Gulak and Dempsey do an interview saying that it was weak of them to not show up. So at first, Damon Kemp offers to kind of take the match, but it doesn't happen that way. It ends up being Briggs and Jensen, and they have a really good match. I liked it. It was good stuff. A nice brawling type of match. And during the match, Damon Kemp interferes on behalf of Gulak and Dempsey and allows them to win. And it was just good stuff. I like the fact they're finally going to do something meaningful with Damon Kemp and put him together with Gulak and Dempsey. I think that's going to do wonders for him, and I think it could be really good stuff. Eddie Thorpe has a video package just kind of showing how he's going to rebound from the loss with to Dijak. He mentions a rematch is coming, which doesn't really make sense that he would say that because the rematch hasn't even been set up yet or anything. Again, this is kind of like that example of Shawn Michaels where he skips the B plot or part B of the storyline type of thing. So yeah, there you go. Then let's see. I just want to make sure that I've covered everything on NXT. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo have a video package where they're sending texts to each other back and forth, and they talk about how they want to make their grandfather proud because he built a life for them. That was all right, I guess. They clearly wanted to do something different and had them do text messages, which wasn't a bad thing. I just don't think, you know, I think it would have meant a lot more if they sat down and had like a genuine conversation because they would have been able to say a lot more and all that type of stuff. Um, but you know, I didn't mind it too much. I guess I just don't like the fact again that they're having an issue. It does seem like every tag team has to have some type of issue because it's Shawn Michaels NXT, as you know. So I don't like that. Tiffany Stratton hasn't interviewed, and you know it's very Tiffany Stratton. She doesn't set up an opponent. This was probably the week she should have had an opponent like built up. Like someone should have come in there and offered to face her for the belt, whether that was like a Fallon Henley or somebody else. I don't get why they didn't do that. I thought this was the week that she needed to set up an opponent. And yeah, and then the last thing is the opener. Mustafa Ali and Axiom have a great match with each other. It's very great, really back and forth. It's probably overall the match of the night. I don't know if it's my personal favorite match of the night, but it's probably the actual match of the night. If you ask me, like, what the best match was. And during this, Mustafa Ali yanks at the mask of Axiom, and he puts it back on. And doing this, he takes an opportunity to push Axiom off the top, and he capitalizes. He hits the 450 on Axiom for the win. And that was good stuff. And then it was great. I liked it. It does seem like they're gonna go back to turning Mustafa Ali heel. I think the reason they backed away from it a little bit just because they had Dom go to NXT, so they had to kind of change the booking a bit. I think he was probably meant to win the North American title from Wesley at the Great American Bash, but because Dom came in, they changed plans, which I think were much needed plans. We'll get to why that ended up being a benefit. And then the last thing that happens is on the show is Wesley wants a title match with Carmelo Hayes, and Dijak comes up and he wants to have a title match, so it leads to a brawl, and Dijak just beats the shit out of him. And it leads to a match getting made, and Wesley comes over and tells Trick Williams that, to let Carmelo Hayes knows he'll see him soon. And they're also doing this, it gets set up that Trick Williams is going to face Drew Gulak. I think I mentioned that already, though. Really great episode of NXT. The wrestling was great, and I liked how it furthered various storylines. I'm going to give NXT like a B+. Everything really hit, and I think it was a great choice to make this episode limited commercials just because of how big of an episode it was. So I liked it. I'll go through the star ratings because I did do them since it was a big episode. Axiom versus Mustafa Ali was 4.5 stars. Kalani Jordan versus Blair Davenport was 3 stars. Tyler Bay versus Noam Dar was 3 3/4 stars. That extra 3/4 is mainly because of the funny thing that happened. I think I stopped doing them just because I forgot. But Braun Baker versus Braun Ragnar was 3 stars. Wow, they did a lot of talking on this show though, which I guess wasn't a bad thing though. I think Briggs and Jensen versus Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak was 3 stars. I will say the one drawback of this match, it didn't really seem like the fans were all added into that match, which sucked, but it is what it is. Ivy Nile versus Kiana James was 2.5 stars. I thought Ivy Nile tried the best she could to make something happen. And then the main event was 4.5 stars. Looking back, there wasn't a lot of wrestling on this show. There's a lot of talking here, but I feel like this time around it wasn't a bad thing because the matches were so long that I thought it counteracted the fact that there was not a lot of wrestling. But yeah, that was NXT. Going through the bump, I did watch the bump this week. That took place the same day as main event, August 9th, 2023. And NXT was August 8th, 2023. I didn't mention that. But Yeah, I only watched the bump for really one thing. But going through it, we had the host Megan Morant, and Matt Camp and Ryan Papola. Megan Morant and Matt Camp are like the ones that are hosting this. They're the ones that interview everybody. But Ryan Papola is like basically the social media person of it. He's the one that kind of talks about comments that get made and all that type of stuff. And yeah, the bump was good stuff. They interviewed Santos Escobar. He talked about like his relationship with Rey Mysterio, potentially winning the United States Championship, wanted to break into acting. And he mentions kind of like the luchador heritage culture and all that type of stuff. It was a pretty good interview. What sucked is his Wi-Fi kept cutting in and out, so they had to kind of go around that, but it was still good enough stuff. They also interviewed Kofi. Kofi talked about like being away, what the New Day was like, doing some stuff outside of WWE, and he talked about like what it's like being like a veteran now since he's like in his 40s. And you know, being like the veteran in the locker room, and talk about more about what the New Day want to do. So, yeah, just a good interview right there by the New Day. So I enjoyed that. And yeah, it was well, not the New Day, but it was a good interview by Kofi. He talked about like his charity work a little bit too, like the stuff he's been doing with WWE and things like that. Sam Roberts was on the show. He doesn't really do anything. He just kind of interviews Kofi, and then he breaks down SummerSlam, which I don't think he really needed to be in studio for, but he was, so it's just kind of whatever. I don't know if he just happened to be there, so maybe like he just came in and did the show, but it was really weird. They also broke down like the weekly WWE shows and all that type of stuff. So I would say the bump was good stuff. I'll give it like a B minus. I like the Santos and Kofi interview. But I could have done without the Sam Roberts bit. And they didn't need to talk about SummerSlam again. They mentioned it like SummerSlam, but it was really no need to. Like, you did a bump post SummerSlam. There was no need to kind of go back and talk about SummerSlam. Like, I feel like if you're going to do 2 pump episodes in the same week, you really just can't do that. I would say, like, no week breakdowns. I always think it's weird that the bump's in the middle of the week. I feel like the bump should be like a Saturday show. Just I get no one wants to work Saturdays. Or on Mondays, I kind of break down last week's shit, because it always is weird that it's like the middle of the fucking week. So I don't get why it's on a Wednesday. I feel like they need to change that. But whatever. Going through SmackDown. I'm going to talk about the main event angle first. This is kind of one of the first times where you didn't see Roman anything about the bloodline until the end of the show. Just because, you know, they wanted to obviously save it for the end of the show, but typically if they do a bloodline segment, it bleeds all through the show. But I was fine with it this time. I don't think you really needed to do much with it. Apparently, I should say that Roman Reigns suffered an injury. He got injured during the Tribal Combat match, and it's the spot that I talked about on WWE Aftershock Extra, where Jay does the dive, and he obviously doesn't quite stick the landing correctly. So a lot of people are thinking this was like a big deal, but it really isn't. It's obviously not great that he's injured. I don't like it that a wrestler gets injured, obviously. But I think the reason to me it's not a big deal is because he's a part-timer anyways. It's not like he's going to wrestle all that much. So I definitely think it's going to be a quick injury that he's going to recover from. I don't think he was going to wrestle at Payback anyways. So I think he'll probably wrestle maybe at Fastlane. But, you know, he might have wrestled at Payback just because that's the first pay-per-view / PLE / network event that he won the belt at. So he might have wrestled at Payback, but I think now he's not going to wrestle at Payback. I kind of hope he doesn't. He does wrestle once in between, SummerSlam and Survivor Series. I think if he stays out of the ring up until Survivor Series, that's a bit too long. And I think he needs to have like I think it's time for him to do something different in terms of like face a different opponent for the title. And I think he needs to finally have a match with AJ. I think it's finally time to go to that program. I think, now's the time. You could do the match with AJ. It's easy. There's a well-written storyline there already with, Roman and AJ from years before. I think it's time to do the AJ, or the best yet, maybe Sheamus. Because that's one I would like to see also. I think it's time for Roman to get like a fresh opponent, type of thing. Let's see if that happens. Because I don't know who else could face, Roman for the title. Those are like the big ones I can think of. Obviously, LA Knight would be great, but I don't think it's time for that yet. That should be like, one of the last ones. I feel like if LA Knight gets popular enough, they may have to pivot and have him be the one that dethrones Roman Reigns, honestly. That's how popular he is, type of thing. But they did stuff with the bloodline. Roman Reigns wants to know, like, if Paul Heyman's talked to Jimmy Uso or if he's seen Jimmy Uso because he hadn't. And, Paul Heyman says that he hasn't seen Jimmy Uso, but he has talked to him, and he said that he was kind of rude to him and all that type of stuff. And then Jimmy Uso comes out, everyone boos him, and Roman tells Jimmy that he owes him one, and he asks him what he wants, and he said that he doesn't want anything from you, but he didn't do what he did for Roman. He still thinks he's a scumbag, but he said he did what he did for himself. And Jay comes out, and he demands an explanation before he throws 37 years of, loyalty away. And Jimmy says that the reason why he did what he did wasn't out of jealousy, and it wasn't anything like that. It was because he didn't want Jay to become the tribal chief, because he was worried of what he was going to become, because he sees how selfish Roman Reigns and everybody else has become. And he wanted to prevent that to happening from Jay. And he says that, he understands if he's angry with him and stuff, but he said that, that's why he did what he did. And Jay turned his back on Jimmy. And Roman tries then to make it all by himself. He says that, everything's always been about me all the time and all that type of stuff. Jimmy kind of walks away, I think, by this point. And Jay super kicks Roman. He super kicks Solo. No, he doesn't super kick. Does he super kick? No, I think Solo attacks him, and then he super kicks Solo. He lays out Reigns with the spear and a super kick. I don't think he takes the splash, because I don't think Reigns was able to take the splash. And then he calls Jimmy, and he looks like he's going to embrace him with a hug, and then he super kicks Jay. And then he quits, not just the bloodline, but he quits WWE. He leaves, and he goes to the crowd. This angle was awesome. I loved it. I don't know if it makes the Jimmy turn completely okay, but I like the fact that it makes sense. I like the way they went about it. I like that he's not joining the bloodline again, as of right now anyways, just because that's good. And I like the reason that he gave. It's a heelish reason. It's him thinking what he's doing was right. He loves his brother. He didn't want to see his brother become the tribal chief. I'm glad it's not what I thought it was gonna be, where he was selfish type of thing. I don't know if the turn still completely makes sense. I feel like Jay's the reason why all the stuff happens anyways. So it's kind of weird, but I do like it. Makes a little bit more sense than if Jimmy was jealous and him joining the bloodline. I do like that it does seem like the Usos feud is going to be like its own thing, which I think is a great thing. I still don't think it was worth breaking up one of your big tag teams, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And I do like the fact that Jay quits. Just because, like, we really need to hold off this storyline with Jimmy and Jay until WrestleMania, and I think this is the best way to do it. I don't know how they're gonna go about bringing back Jay type of thing. Like, will Jimmy have to bring him back type of thing? I don't know. Kurt Angle talked about recently on his podcast where he still thinks that the storytelling good, but he does feel like they're kind of starting to. He doesn't say this directly, but they're basically trying to do new stuff to kind of keep the storyline going type of thing. He doesn't really think in the third inning, like Paul Heyman said on the press conference. And I completely agree. I definitely think they are trying to do things to keep the belt on Roman up until WrestleMania 40. And this might have been that case, but it's still good. And yeah, again, I don't know what Roman Reigns does up until Survivor Series. I think that's why the Jimmy turn really does kind of suck too. Like, it kind of throws in a mucky wrench about what Roman can do now. It does limit Roman Reigns a little bit because I had all this ideas of what I was going to do, like with Roman and everything like that. And The Rock didn't end up showing up like we thought, so just really interesting stuff. But, we'll see what happens. Other things that happened on SmackDown, the U.S. title stuff, they did a video package to build up to it, and eventually Santos attacked, he was attacked by Theory backstage. Theory completely took him out, wiped out his knee, and he was still going to go and have the match anyways, but he gets attacked again by Theory, and Theory thinks he's gotten out of the title match, but instead Adam Pearce throws in Rey Mysterio as the replacement. They have a fairly solid match. Rey ends up winning the belt with the 619 and the splash, and Rey Mysterio wins the U.S. title. I thought this was good. I like this. I am going to give this a little bit of a pass because I could say, like, if you were just going to have Rey win the title, why you just win the, championship invitational? I'm going to guess, so just be guessing here, that Rey was meant to beat Santos in the U.S. invitational, but because he went out due to the concussion, they obviously had to call an audible and they give the win to Santos, and I assume that Rey finally just got cleared, so they just decided to do this injury angle. But I'm okay with this. I really hope they don't turn Santos heel out of this. There's no reason to do that. I think, it wouldn't really make sense either because Santos is the one that gives the blessing for Rey to go for the title. I kind of hope they just have, if they have a match, I hope it's like a face versus face match type of thing where Santos says, I give you my blessing for go after the title. I appreciate you sticking up for me. I'm on a title match. Let's have the title match type of thing. I prefer that. And I like the fact that Theory lost the belt. Would I prefer to him to lose the belt to somebody else? Probably, but it was just time at this point for him to lose the title. He was really lost in the shuffle, and I think Theory needs to go away for a while and kind of find a new character or something because he's really bland now at this point. He's just really lost in the shuffle. So I think it's time to go back to the drawing board with Theory. Because his title reign became very forgettable, I would say, after WrestleMania, pretty much. Edge came out on this show also and did a promo. He was supposed to be on Montreal this Friday, but he was there early last week at Calgary. It might have been the opposite, but it's one of the two. And he talked about how he's going to have a 25-year celebration, and he wants to have a match next week. And he wants to face Sheamus. He's never faced Sheamus, and they've been in the company together for a while. So he brings out Sheamus, and first Edge mentions the history behind Sheamus, how Sheamus was kind of the one that gave him, the fire to come back because, Sheamus was kind of motivating him. He did Sheamus's YouTube show. I forget the name of it. The workout with Sheamus type of thing, where they went on mountain bikes and he completely wiped out, and it gave him motivation to want to come back. And Sheamus comes out. They do a thing where they poke fun at each other, where Sheamus shows the video of Edge wiping out, and then Edge shows the photo of Sheamus having to ride his daughter's bike, which was funny. And Sheamus then gets serious, and he talks about how Edge was the one that gave him motivation because he was going to leave wrestling, but Edge was the one when the WWE was in Ireland that took the time and bought Sheamus a drink and gave him all the advice, and he's always been a good mentor to Sheamus. And he said that he's looking forward to this match, but he tells Edge that he made a mistake making this match. And that was basically the segment. I liked this. I liked that this was kind of a face versus face thing. No one turned heel out of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing Edge versus Sheamus next week. I think it'll be. I think it's gonna be really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope they don't turn Sheamus heel out of it. I don't really think there's a reason to turn Sheamus heel. He's clearly gonna be the heel crowd wise the following week since it's in Canada. But I hope they don't turn Sheamus heel out of this. Other things that happened on SmackDown. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits in a promo talking about how they're going to basically take over SmackDown. I thought that was good stuff. I'm liking the Street Profits as heels. Charlotte Flair faced Asuka. They always have great matches with each other. The finish sucked. Damage Control ran out and Io Sky hit a double drop kick and caused a DQ and laid out everybody. So I thought that was stupid. I don't know why they did the match if they were just going to do a non-finish. I would have done something else, but whatever. And yeah, I don't know what's being set up from this. I think if they're gonna do a triple threat match or maybe a fatal four-way with Bianca involved, but it's really tough to tell. I hope they just do Io Sky versus Asuka at Payback. I would like that match to be saved for Survivor Series, but if I'm talking about an immediate title opponent, I think it should be Io Sky versus Asuka. Dakota Kai was here. She's not ready to go. But I don't know if she's ready to just be on the road type of thing now, just because she was here. So I'm not sure what's going on there. They did a video package for Hulk Hogan because it was his 70th birthday Friday, so they did like a nice little video package for him. They also did one for Edge to hype up SmackDown next week. We had AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. This match was good stuff. It does fall apart a little bit at the end. AJ screws up the moonsault into the DDT, and the match kind of takes a little bit to get back on its feet, but then eventually it does, and AJ Styles wins. Karrion Kross and Scarlett did a promo, but it really didn't matter because I figured he wasn't winning, so it really didn't mean much. And then, that was pretty much... and then LA Knight faced Top Dollar and beat him, which was awesome because I like LA Knight. And then, that was basically SmackDown. I liked SmackDown. I thought it was a great show. Maybe an awesome show. I'll give SmackDown like an A-. I really enjoyed it. It flew by, and I thought, they did some good stuff with Edge, the Bloodline, as usual, the U.S. title. The only thing I didn't care for was obviously Karrion Kross losing again, and the Asuka Charlotte match ended in a DQ. So there's that. Good week overall. I thought for the WWE. I thought they pulled out a good one. Let's go through kind of what's going on. Let's go through what's going on with next week's stuff. I'm trying to find it. I think Raw's looking like an exciting show from what I'm aware of. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to explain his actions. I think that would be good. I think he's just going to talk about like how he wants to take the opportunities type of thing. Becky Lynch is going to face Trish Stratus. I hope they just give the win to Becky. I hope they don't do a thing where Lita comes out to make the save, just because I wouldn't like that. And I hope they don't do some bullshit where Zoe Stark still interferes. Like, Becky should just finally beat Trish. It's time to end the storyline. It's really not connected anymore. I'm trying to remember what else is announced for Raw. It's not really... I don't know why. They don't do a good job of updating it on, the app. I'm just going to kind of look it up online real quick. Because I know NXT and stuff. So, okay, that doesn't help. I don't know what else is announced for Raw. That was the big thing that, Let me check wrestling news. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking right now. They haven't really announced anything else, so. And then, Also announced for NXT. We have the NXT Tag Title match. It's going to be the family defending against the Girls and Young Veterans. I imagine the family will just retain the titles. I think the Creed brothers will interfere. I hope they don't do the typical thing where they're under the mask type of thing. They do something different, but we'll see. And then Blair Davenport's going to face Dana Brooke. Please give the win to Blair Davenport. There's no reason at all Dana Brooke should win this match. I know they're doing a thing where she's going to go heel, but I feel like you could still accomplish that with Blair Davenport winning. And then I think the only other match is the main, what I think would be the main event. It will be Dijak facing Wesley, where the winner will challenge for the NXT title. Also, Trick Williams versus Gulak. I imagine Trick Williams will win that to build up momentum before his match with Dragunov. And then the number one contenders match. It's probably going to be Wesley, but I kind of hope they give the win to Dijak because I would like them to save Wesley versus Carmelo Hayes for No Mercy. I think that would be a better route to go. I think they should just give the win to Dijak. You still have enough time to build up Wesley enough where he could get a title match. But I hope they give the win to Dijak. Just for the sake that because Carmelo Hayes and Dijak's a first matchup, and it'd be good stuff. I hope they don't do something stupid and have Dijak lose because of Eddie Thorpe. Just give the win to Dijak. You can have Eddie Thorpe interfere in the title match if you want, but I think that's the best bet. On SmackDown, I'm trying to remember what's announced for SmackDown. Obviously, Edge versus Sheamus. I think Edge will win that. It's his big homecoming 25-year celebration, and I don't think Sheamus loses anything from losing that match. They're both veterans, so I think Edge will win that match. And that's basically everything. There might be something else on SmackDown I'm missing. There might be a tag match or something that was set up, but I'm really not sure. So there's that. Some news. WWE actually has some great news at the moment. Raw, when LA Knight was on, did really great in the ratings. They, the segment where LA Knight was on, went up, which is obvious. I think that's why they did the photo shoot storyline. So that way, they showed that he was going to be there so everyone could let him know. And NXT did the best. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you can look that up. Did the best ratings since I think they said April 2021. It probably would have been after NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. I think this is why the Dominic Mysterio NXT North American title reign is really working out. It sucks for Ali, but I think it benefited NXT because I think the hype of Rey Mysterio showing up to confront his son type of thing. This is the first time they were going to do anything together since Backlash helped this, helped it a lot. I think Dom as champion's working as North American champion. And, it's just been really good stuff. So, I liked NXT is doing really well right now. So that's good. And that's basically it. I can't really think of any other news that's really relevant. We're just, a hell of a week. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm doing a video later tonight. I know you're going to see this probably the same day as SummerSlam 05 Retro, so check that video out, and I'll do all my plugs there, because I don't want to spend too much time talking and rambling. I'd rather keep this video relatively short. If you want to check out all my stuff, go watch SummerSlam 05 Retro, and I will plug everything at the end of that retro. So make sure you check that out. And that's pretty much it, guys, and we will talk to you guys later. And since this is being recorded in the past, we will talk to you guys in the future.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as WWE content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.